Oh boy, here we go again. Only a few short months ago, we took a look at Battle at Lake Changjin, an entertaining, if historically inaccurate dramatization of the battle at the Chosun Reservoir in Korea. While the filmmakers were working on two movies at the same time, and the sequel released barely 3 months after the original, this time taking the fight to the Watergate Bridge, an important tactical zone in the Korean War that would enable the US to retreat more easily. The first movie was entertaining and action-packed, just what you want from a war movie. So how does this sequel fare? Hi, I'm the Artie Dans from Asian Film Fans, and welcome to this review of Watergate Bridge, The Battle at Lake Changjin 2. Honestly, for a 2.5 hour film, there isn't really much storyline here. The movie picks up from where it left off, with the commanders, their battalions, and what meagre weaponry they have left or have liberated from the American troops, taking on a new mission to destroy the Watergate Bridge, a strategic point for the American retreat out of Korea. Unlike the first film, there is less emphasis in the beginning of the relationships of brothers Wan Li and Chun Li. Instead, it focuses more of the leaders of each company and their role in the destruction of the bridge. Otherwise, it's pretty much almost 2 hours of war action regarding the skirmish at this location. The short answer is no. Unlike the first film, where it felt like we had genuine characters to care about and follow, this sequel assumes you still care about who they are and what they're doing there. The shift in tone in Chinese war movies over the last 5 years has been very clear. Gone are the action hits of Dante Land's Operation series, where elite, highly trained soldiers use the latest weapons and technology in their fight against the enemy. Instead, we have a very deliberate shift to highlighting the heroics of the volunteer armies of the mid-1900s. While this tone shift gave us the excellent film The 800, it's also been responsible for stinkers like The Sacrifice. And this year alone, we've had Snipers and these two Battle at Lake Changjin films. The overarching theme is definitely nationalism. Underpowered, under-resourced, under-trained troops fighting and winning, or at least suppressing, a much more powerful foe. At times, that makes a great story, like the first film, but in this film, it just doesn't seem to work as well. The emphasis here has been purely paced on the action scenes and set pieces. A sniper battle between a Chinese and American sniper takes place while several Chinese troops storm the headquarters of an American army, while their commander sits there drinking tea. It's all very unexciting and leads to a level of fatigue that kicks in rather early. Perhaps the biggest disappointment is the real lack of focus on the brothers in the first half of the film. The development of Wan Li was what made part 1 so interesting. He went from a bright-eyed, gung-ho youngster who thought war was easy to understanding by the end of the film that war is hell and that in the end, there are no winners. So with that in mind, what was left for his character to develop in this film? Absolutely nothing. Instead, he just turns into a wolf warrior style soldier who's not distinguishable between all the others. It's a really disappointing turn of events for the character. Acting-wise, almost the entire cast of the first film returns. Sans Hu Jun, whose character died in the previous film and is seen in a tribute at the beginning. Wu Jing does what he needs to throughout the film, but he is a far cry from the Wu Jing of the last few decades. Jackson Yi doesn't develop his Wan Li character beyond what we've already witnessed in the first film, and Jung Hung Yu might as well not be in the film, for his total screen time is around 2 minutes. This then leads us to what keeps the film going: the action and the effects. Action-wise, I don't think you can complain too much. The audience does get a chance to take a breath a few times, but the underlying feeling throughout the action scenes are, does it really need to be this long? And in the second half of the film, does it really need to get as gory and bloody as it does? I really don't need to see bodies exploding in a hail of gunfire, and I'm not sure what value it even adds to the film. Effects-wise, they seem to have taken a step back from the first film, if that's even possible. The action set pieces are mostly fine. It seems their large sets have allowed for the use of some great practical effects, and like always, they look great. It's just when the CGI takes over, it feels like a cheap video game or a beginner learning how to do composite green screen work. Colours in matte scenes are far too brilliant to look realistic, with light sources that make no sense. Camera work that seems impressive only ends up that way when you realise it was all a CGI shot and nothing was real. And then there's those bullet time-like sequences. Again, if it was a video game, it would be something from the PS3 era and we'd be wowed, but it just doesn't look good and it really takes you out of the immersion of the film. And to top it off, there are obvious scenes where miniatures are used that didn't blend in well with the film, such as the scene of the soldiers looking through their binoculars at the battlefield. Some amateur stuff for a crew of professionals and a movie with the biggest budget in Chinese cinema. Although to be fair, it was a budget shared between two films. Compared to the first film, I didn't like this at all. I hated The Sacrifice, but I think that's a better film than this one. On top of the fatigue-inducing action, poor effects, and lack of interesting story around the characters, we are again witnessed to some of the worst English acting ever filmed in Asian cinema. Just check out the lip syncing in the English-speaking scenes and you'll know what I mean. Avoid it, unless you really want to know what happens to the characters from the first film. But if you have seen this, what did you think of it? Thank you for watching this review. Don't forget to press the like button and consider subscribing to support the channel.